Although the German tank industry worked under an extremely wrong leadership, they created some of the most technologically advanced tanks, mirroring the earlier MBTs to come in the Cold War. Tanks such as the Panther showed a good medium tank or MBT needed to be fast and have decent protection, as well as being able to pack quite a punch. The German Leopard 1 greatly showed a proper rival to the tanks of the Soviet Union, and also became a symbol of the recovery of West Germany. As the Second World War raged on, the Germans produced bigger and greater tanks. Probably the most notable was the Panzerkampfwagen 5 Panther. It was a well-protected tank, offering heavily sloped sides inspired by the Soviet T-34. It also yielded a powerful 75mm Pak-42, which allowed for an extremely good gun at long range. The mobility was also excellent. So why do I keep on blabbing about the Panther? Well, it greatly showed the key characteristics of a modern MBT: good mobility, not heaps of armour, and above all, an extremely good high-velocity main gun. This is all of the things that are needed in a modern main battle tank. The need for a lumbering heavy tank is no longer needed. The early traces of the Leopard 1 go back to the 50s. Germany had been divided between East and West. East was controlled by USSR and part of the Warsaw Pact, and the East was part of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or NATO for short. West Germany thrived in the post-war years compared to the suffering of East Germany. West Germany was given the permission to make a new army to defend against a potential USSR threat. Also, at the time, the Franco-German relationship was probably at its highest point, so both countries decided to embark on creating a new MBT suitable for both French army and Bundeswehr. For the French, they needed a tank which could be pressed into service. However, they had only just cancelled the AMX-50 program. I have a video on this which is in the perspective of the French, so if you are interested then head on over to the Leclerc video, link in the description. Back to the development of the Leopard 1. The West Germans were gifted the M47 and M48 to act as a stopgap, however needed replacements. The name of the replacement tank was originally called the Standard Panzer. It was later renamed to the Europanzer with the introduction of several more nations. Therefore, the Europanzer project was formed. The project featured a number of countries such as Germany, France and Italy. The guidelines of the vehicle were relatively simple. It had to weigh 30 tons and it had a power ratio of above 30, and armour which could withstand a 20mm autocannon. Also, because hollow charge rounds and heat FS were available, the thought of putting heaps of armour on the tank was not a requirement. Instead, mobility and firepower were the main driving factors of this new tank. In '58, it was decided that the Phase 2 prototypes would be made. 3 different prototypes were formed, which were in Group A, B and C. In Group A, there was Porsche, which created their Model 734. Next, there was Group B, which eventually came up with the RU251 prototype. Set B was made up of Rheinmetall, Bergmann, Hanomag and a few more. Set C was quickly forced to drop out as they did not have a prototype to put forward. This pretty much left Group A and B. The Bundeswehr purchased 50 pre-series tanks from Group A, and in 1963 the government made it clear that the Porsche prototype in Group A was going to be put into service. Also, around a similar time to that, the French were still working with the Germans, before venturing out and making the AMX-30 instead. The Porsche prototype, known as the Zero Series, featured a cast turret as well as a raised engine deck to allow for easier maintenance, as well as a new place for the radiators. A better optic system was fitted, which also allowed for a new rangefinder. Construction of the pre-series began with Krauss-Maffei complex in Munich. The Leopard 1 does not have the thickest of armour, but doesn't need to. The hull's front has only 70mm in the front plate and 35 in the sides, with an extremely thin rear of only 25mm. But armour is not needed, as I mentioned earlier. Lessons were taken from World War II, such as the engine components being in the same place. Tanks such as the Panther and Tiger had engines in the back, but transmission and final drive in the front, so by putting all of the components for the drive in one place, allowed for easier maintenance. It is said that the entire engine of a Leopard 1 can be taken out in under half an hour, which is quite impressive. The suspension used is torsion bar and can give an extremely smooth drive even on rough terrain. There were several main variants of the Leopard 1. The Leopard A1A1 featured a British-made L7A3 gun which could fire HESH, Heat FS and other rounds. It also had new rubber side skirts, which allowed for a cheaper protection against rounds such as Heat FS, as well as keeping the mud and dust down when quickly changing positions on the battlefield. By 1974 there was a newly modelled thermal sleeve for the 1A1A1. The next step was the Leopard 1A2, which production started in 1972 and ended in 74. 232 tanks were made, and this modification included the 1A1A1's modifications to be standardised, as well as a heavier turret. Next is the tank that you see in front of you. It is the Leopard 1A3. The 1A3 had a new turret which consisted of 2 steel plates for each panel. The turret was much less cramped and also showed some resemblance to the Krauss-Maffei Leopard 2K prototype. The cupola was also improved for the Commando. The 1A3 was also exported to the Canadians, which was then called the Leopard C1. Further modifications were added and this became the Leopard C2. There were also some additional armour packages on both Canadian Leopard 1s, which became the Leopard C1 and 2 Mexas. The next step was the Leopard 1A5. The 1A1 and 1A2 were used for this upgrade. The 1A5 featured a new night vision equipment, as well as new plates and optical sights. There was also a short-lived 1A6 which wasn't really used as the Leopard 2 introduced into service. There were several different modifications added to the Leopard 1 hull, such as the Flakpanzer Gepard, Biber bridge layer and many more. The Gepard was a self-propelled anti-aircraft gun, or SPAAG. It featured a radar and twin 35mm Oerlikon cannons. The bridge layer Biber, or Beaver, was an impressive bridge layer which incorporated an interesting scissor mechanism in order to lay down the bridge. There was also an interesting Bergpanzer II, which was an armoured recovery vehicle. The British Army also used a few Leopard 1s in service, which are used for training purposes. When the Leopard 1 was exported to other countries, the tank needed to meet their specific needs, so they were modified by each country. Many countries bought the Leopard 1, such as Greece, Belgium, Dutch, Brazil, Australia and Danish, and many more recipients of the Leopard 1. The Leopard 1 remains as one of the most well-known and distinctive tanks of the Cold War, and is a symbol of Germany's recovery from the Second World War. Thank you very much for watching. If you would like to support me, then please consider subscribing and sharing my content. The next video will be on a vehicle with the same hull as this one but plays a different role. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, stay safe. Goodbye.